Hi everyone, this is Jacqui Cooper with JCooperTravels, and today I have a very special guest on. It's another graduate from Vassar College that I've had the pleasure of having various conversations with. And we're going to be talking about our careers and our dreams and where we started in college and where we are now and all the twists and turns that happen within life, because it's an amazing journey. And that's all what JCooperTravels is about, is our life journeys. Karen, welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited. I mean, we graduated maybe different years, but we were at the same college and had very interesting experiences. My major was science, technology, and society, which is a blend of both poli-sci, philosophy, and various sciences. What was your major?
Biology and Africana studies. But I
And
found my way to science, technology, and society by my senior year.
yeah, you did.
Yes.
So what drew you to your major? I know for me, I knew I was going to go two paths. I was either going to be a lawyer or a research scientist. And I learned early that as much as I love science, I wasn't good in the hard sciences. So I looked at a major that could kind of blend and overlap both the policy side of things and my interest in bioethics, and also just all the current new technologies, or at least it was new back then. Now it's kind of
Old.
commonplace. Yeah.
It's old.
So how did you kind of navigate? Because I know we both have similar interests.
Right. I entered Vassar pre-med. I was intent on being an anesthesiologist. And I declared biology. By sophomore year, though, I stopped liking the comparative anatomy and dissecting part of the science. So I knew medical school was out. But like you, I continued to still love science. But I became interested in the social science part of it. And that's when I developed my Africana studies double major. And in the process of that, began to be exposed to some of the global issues that touch upon science, health, law, political science. And that's how I ended up taking a course in the Science, Technology, Society curriculum, which introduced me to bioethics. And that is what I then went into graduate study after Vassar. I didn't completely forget medicine, because obviously medical ethics is a significant part of what my focus was. And then after that, because I still didn't know how was I going to get a job, I decided to go to law school. And no surprise, my specialty is medical law. So I still kind of connected everything in a really weird way, but it became my career for 20, almost now 30 years.
I know, it's fascinating. As much as I love law, I didn't take the route of, I was in a law firm, but I didn't go into the courtroom, but I went more into the healthcare consulting side and navigated a little bit differently, but I still always was fascinated with how law impacts the area. And what I'm doing now is I navigated into special ed teaching because of my love of brain science, and also my understanding of how law is important, and my interest at some point in advocating for kids in this area. So, again, you can have one interest and it can kind of take you different ways. For your experience in your legal field, how have you found it in terms of being a woman in this profession and being in both law firms, courtrooms, any which way?
Well, I would have to take that question in decades. In the very beginning, I graduated in 1991, and I went to work in a firm that was a boutique firm in the medical malpractice defense area. And it was a small group that was very supportive. So within that group, I had no concerns, no issues. I was very supported. I was given great opportunities. It was a diverse firm, so we had minority representation as partners, and that allowed me to get a push. Outside of the firm, though, I had to deal with one, being young, and being a woman. I was always the court reporter. Whenever I walked in a room, oh, are you the court reporter? No, I'm actually the attorney about to take your deposition. Now sit down. So I had to constantly assert myself in that way. And older white male attorneys, not just a little older, but old enough to be like a grandfather to me, no respect, none. They would go around me to, my senior partners, and just like question what my decision making, until my senior partners are like, no, she's making these decisions, so you have to listen to what she has to say. My senior partners didn't have to do that, but because they did, I think that helped me to establish my own reputation. And I did go in the courtroom, and even though judges I had one judge who say, counsel and Karen. I wasn't even Miss Turner, I was Karen. So, but that, you deal with it, and you prove that you deserve to be where you are by doing a great job. But it's constantly having to prove that. So that first decade was that. Second decade was much easier because I made partner, I had a reputation, and I did my job, I did it well. So it got better. And again, I have to attribute a lot of that to the firm that I worked in. I don't think my experience would have been the same everywhere, but I was very fortunate to be where I was. And my last decade has been as in-house counsel at Howard University. So it's different than being in the firm. The rat race is gone. It's much more of a place where I can just work. I don't have to prove myself to anybody. I was hired to do a job that I'm capable of, and I do my job. So it's a much, I don't want to say easier experience, but it's less demanding of me proving things that don't have anything to do with my ability to do the job that I was hired to do.
I've talked to some other Vassar graduates, also women, also attorneys, and they have shared similar experiences that you've just shared. And they're younger than us, and they're still experiencing that. And so, every time I hear it, I just have to shake my head because of the fact that we've come far, but obviously not far enough on so many levels, both professionally as well as, just within our own community.
Yes.
So, so for you, for myself, for everyone else who is listening, I applaud you in terms of what you've done, because you played the stepping stones for those who are coming after you. And, it's, again, I remember being an intern at the Supreme Court, and, there was no women justices back then, and, I remember Congresswoman Bella Abzug wearing a hat.
I remember her.
Yep. And
from New York.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. I will give away my age by saying that I interned there, so. But, again, it's every person who's had to make a stand has done it in their own ways. And then, we do have to sometimes show that we are more than capable to do our job.
Right.
So have you loved being in the medical area? Did you love being in that area?
I did. And I used to tell people that I was tort reform. because my job was to represent hospitals and physicians, and nurses and all healthcare providers in medical malpractice cases. And that's not a popular area. Usually, people flock to the other side, the plaintiff side, to sue the doctors and nurses. But because I was an undercover, still wanting to be doctor, I had to go to the physician side. And what I found was that really, really good doctors do give really good care, but they still get sued.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt very strongly in my advocacy for my clients that it often was not about whether or not the doctor did something wrong, because often they didn't.
Yeah.
Something bad can still happen when there's no negligence per se. But there's just so much that is against, the healthcare field, just, for a lot of reasons. And I felt like it was important that on that side, they have as much protection as the patients did. And so I'm not anti-patient, I'm a patient. So I always wanted to make sure that it was an even playing field, which meant that sometimes I had to say, we screwed up. We need to make sure that this person is compensated. So in that way, I felt like I did my job as well. So that's why I say I'm tort reform, because I tried to make sure that the insurance companies didn't pay more than they had to, but I also made sure that patients who deserved compensation, that I tried to get them there in a fair way. And yeah, so I did enjoy it. And I work at a hospital now, and I still enjoy it.
I totally understand what you're saying about the balance, because in my role in the special education field, I can see how at times, whenever I decide to leave as a teacher, that I would be advocating on behalf of the special education teacher, because there are many things that we do correctly, but then sometimes it's viewed as maybe not, but we actually are being advocates for the child. On the flip side, there are sometimes times that I would be advocating for the child, because sometimes there were things that were going on that maybe
Yes.
not have. So I can see how wearing both hats, in our minds, and just, how we kind of support the positivity within our fields.
Yes.
So now I know that you and I are going to have continuing conversations, because for those that are listening right now, definitely make sure that you continue on to the second part of this episode, because Karen has had some very interesting life experiences, and she has had a dream to do something that she finally dived into. Karen, why don't you go kind of do a teaser as to what your dream was, and what we're going to be talking about next?
I had a dream that I would actually write a novel and publish it so that it can be seen by the world. And I kind of did that.
And so for those that are interested in learning more about her novel, which I think is it's going to be really great to be to reading it, we're going to be having a second episode. But before we sign off on this one, you've had many experiences over the years. What sort of inspirational tips or thoughts would you like to share with those that might be listening, whether it's going into the legal field or any other life lessons that you've learned over time? Each of us, as we kind of navigate, we kind of, if we were to go back to our younger selves, kind of, give ourselves a different message to think about. What kind of message would you like to share with others?
I think it would be believing in yourself. That is the beginning of other people seeing you and believing in you. It has to start from within, and dream big. We hold ourselves back by the smallness of our dreams. And if I were to tell my younger self anything, I would tell my younger self to dream bigger and not to be afraid to dream bigger. Because that was probably something that I was timid about in my younger days.
did you think, I agree with you totally. How do you think your experience at Vassar helped you in terms of developing your self-empowerment and awareness and your career paths down the road?
I think Vassar was helpful for me in helping to frame my mind to think more intellectually and more critically, and challenging me to deal with complicated interpersonal issues. Vassar was a great place to learn, a great 4 years, but we had some challenges. It was not anything necessarily related to Vassar itself, but there were people that I didn't get along with, but I lived in close proximity with them because it's a residential campus. I was introduced to political demonstrations. We protested apartheid. That was the issue. And I think at the beginning of the HIV awareness, so we were also very active in that movement. Vassar gave me the very best friends that I could have asked for. So that has helped me in every phase of my life, because your friendships are what can sometimes hold you up when nothing else will. So that's the other contribution that Vassar gave me. Not to mention, I can just say, oh, I went to Vassar, and people are impressed by that. I don't know. It just kind of gets you in a door sometimes. So
I understand and I agree. Yeah. I had a very welcoming experience at Vassar. I went young. I was only 16 when I went. And so for me, I had no clue what college was all about, so, and I was in Strong for 3 years, and then I went to Maine. And again, like you said, the friendships, the demonstrations, the issues, the learning how to speak your mind when you believed in. I remember even taking trips with with some of the political science department, I think it was. I remember going down on the mall and demonstrating for the ERA, in white dresses, and other political issues, that just now I'm thinking back, and again, we still have so much more to make progress on, but thinking about taking a stand for what you believe, I think is really important. Definitely. And that's why I think everyone can make a difference, and every voice counts. So, yes. That's one of the things that I remember, coming away from the college with, the idea that even if you think that, and I say you for me, even if I think my voice is small, every action makes an impact. So definitely. Like you said, take your stand and believe in yourself, and be kind to others. Right. So, well, I will be talking to you soon, and I can't wait to talk about your book. For everyone who's listening, the Karen's contact information will be in the blog and the podcast information below. So definitely stay tuned, and thank you so much.